Hi, my name is Brandon. Welcome to my English rhetorical analysis video. My topic is on mental health in the medical field, and I have two artifacts. One is text-based and one is a YouTube podcast. My first artifact is text-based, and it is an article called Mental Health Among Clinicians, What We Know and What We Can Do. There are three authors, Matal Singh, who is a doctor from the UK, Stephen Swift, a doctor from South Carolina, and then Alex DeJesu, who is also a doctor from the UK. The audience for this article is primarily the general public, as the purpose of the article is to raise awareness for mental health in the medical field, and then also those included in the medical field are also an audience as well. As I said before, the purpose of the article is to increase awareness of mental health issues amongst healthcare professionals. There's a hope of highlighting the importance of monitoring mental health well-being among medical professionals, supporting help-seeking behavior, and changing attitudes toward mental health disorders among clinicians. The authors put a major stress on the large stigma within the medical community about seeking help. These fears come from fear of breaches of confidentiality, and it's the main reason why doctors are suffering from their mental health. The authors say that by increasing awareness of mental health issues and through workplace interactions that reduce mental health stigma, we can see a drastic decline in the high rates of depression, burnouts, and suicide rates that is occurring right now in the medical field. As far as rhetorical strategies, there's a large amount of logos presented through the article as they discuss suicide rates being 13.5 per 100,000 for men and 7.7 per 100,000 for women. The male clinician rate is 1.41 times higher than the average population, and suicide ideation is 9.4% of med students, 8.1% of residents and fellows, and 6.1% of early career clinicians. They continue with statistics as they cite burnout being a major deterrent on mental health, as 45 to 71% of medical students feel burnouts, and an even higher number for clinicians. Pathos is present as well. The authors discuss how a close friend of theirs, Dr. Nicholas Veit Rubin, took his life due to serious mental health issues stemming from the medical field, and they cite that as their main reason and their exigence for writing this article, and why they put such a stress on bringing these issues to light. The medium used is the National Library of Medicine, which is a massive database for STEM professionals. Hundreds of thousands of articles are published on this site and are read by thousands of med students, researchers, and clinicians, and this is the main strategy they're using to get this article out, because this article will be viewed by so many clinicians, researchers, and med students. My second artifact comes from a podcast called Healthcare Experience Matters, which is on YouTube, and the name of the interview is Importance of Mental Health, an interview with Tammy Chang. Tammy Chang is a practicing pediatric hematologist and medical director for a large healthcare system in the Northeast. She is an author and speaker, and she's also very passionate about feminism in the workplace. The audience for this interview would be anybody who watches the podcast, but also medical students, medical professionals, any kind of clinician. But I think it's also very stressed that this is an interview for women in the STEM field, and Dr. Chang definitely discusses the struggles that women go through in the medical field. Chang cites her purpose as being to share her story and to help those who are in her situation. Dr. Chang suffered serious burnouts, and she stated that she hit rock bottom a few years before doing the interview. And she said that a large majority of people she was around had no idea what she was going through. And it's very difficult to pick up on. And she wants to bring her story to light, but also let anybody who's watching that's going through similar issues know that they are not alone, and that they can seek help, and that the stigma that is keeping them from seeking help must be removed from the medical community. As far as rhetorical strategies go, logos is ever present in this interview, as Chang discusses surveys in which 90% of physicians who took part in these surveys are reporting depression or anxiety. It's a common fact that physicians have the highest rate of suicide of any profession, and statistics for women are even higher. She cites a culture of silence in which medical professionals are taking in all of their mental health and keeping it inside, not wanting to share their feelings or their thoughts. And this culture of silence has done nothing but increase suicide rates and increase depression and anxiety rates. Chang's use of logos continues as she cites that 40% of female physicians leave the line of work, which contributes to the statistic that only 1/3 of workers in the medical field are. There is also pathos present as Chang discusses her journey through the medical field. She discusses burning out severely despite having her dream job. She discusses hitting rock bottom and feeling suicidal despite having achieved all the goals that she set for herself in medical school and for her professional career. The exigence for this interview is, as I discussed before, it's Tammy wanting to share her story. It's her wanting people who went through what she went through to know that they're not alone, and that everybody or most people in the medical field go through this. And she wants her story to get out there so people can find comfort in her struggles and the way she dealt with it. The medium for this interview is YouTube, which is the most popular streaming service in the world. Anybody needing help or looking for someone who's gone through their story can type in mental health in the medical field and this interview will show up. And it's an excellent way to spread a story and get a message out. I am now going to compare and contrast the two artifacts. As far as similarities go, they both discuss the stigma in the medical field, which is the contributing factor, the largest reason why mental health in the medical field is so poor. It's because doctors are afraid to get help. They're afraid of being judged by someone else in their field, a peer, or their fear of a breach of confidentiality. And both articles do a very good job of discussing the stigma and how it can be prevented. Another similarity is that a lot of the statistics are the same thing. They are both making the same point. They're highlighting how high suicide rates are, how high burnout rates are, how high anxiety and depression rates are. The final similarity between the two artifacts is the use of logos and pathos, as both artifacts use similar statistics and personal stories to get their point across. As far as the differences between the two artifacts, I feel like the interview shares more of a personal story. The artifact kind of alludes to a personal story and the reason that they're writing the article, but the interview actually details a personal story. And I think the interview also feels human. You can relate to Dr. Chang as she discusses her story, and you can feel for her. You can feel empathy for her. In conclusion, both artifacts do an excellent job of getting their point across, and their point is basically the same. They want to bring the seriousness of mental health in the medical field into light. They're sharing personal stories, they're giving facts, but they really want the reader to understand how much doctors, anybody in the medical field, how much they're suffering because of large workloads, burnouts, difficulty with patients. And they get this across with their facts, with their story. Thank you for watching my rhetorical analysis video on mental health in the medical field. I hope you learned a little bit. I hope you saw two perspectives, and I hope you kind of understand now what medical professionals are going through every single day.